Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the most fun subclass in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. So I've tried out every single subclass in this game and I've talked to hundreds of people about their experiences in this, so I just want to give my thoughts on these subclasses because some of them are extremely fun to play as and others are just a little bit more monotonous. So first things first, we get the Berserker Barbarian. Now barbarians as a whole are pretty fun, especially if you want to go with more of like the meathead kind of route because the dialogue options for these classes are great. Now the Berserker Barbarian really focuses more on like their frenzied state. They do have a little bit extra damage on top of the other barbarian forms. I think the Berserker Barbarian is quite a fun one. I'm going to put it up into the A tier because I think the wild magic actually is the most fun version of it. It's not the strongest, don't get me wrong. The Berserker is probably the most powerful, and then the Wild Heart has a lot of benefits as well. But I think that the wild magic is actually the most fun. So I'm going to put this one in the S tier because when you go into your rage form, things can happen like dropping a fireball on your team. You can turn yourself into cats and dogs. Like there's just so much fun with the wild magic barbarian. The Berserker is pretty fun as well, getting the frenzied state, as well as the Wild Heart having a lot of different options. My two favorite Wild Heart barbarians are the Tiger Heart, giving yourself the ability to cleave attack and cause bleed on targets. And then you can use the Wolverine aspect to cause them to maim themselves, and then they can't move. And if you knock someone prone, they're stuck prone. So the Wild Heart Barbarian might be a little bit more fun due to the differences that you can go with in the Wild Heart shapes or forms. And also the Bear Heart gives resistance to all damage types except Psychic, so pretty fun for being a tank. The Berserker is also quite fun. Like I think as a whole, the Barbarian is a very fun class, especially if you want to go that route of just being a meathead. I love that, so can't stifle the beef with these guys. Next, we got the College of Lore Bard. Now, Bards are pretty fun too, because I would say as a whole, they get the best dialogue options out of any of the classes. The Barbarian has funny dialogue options, but the Bards have just the best, I would say, in general. So, the College of Lore focuses more on casting. The College of Swords focuses on casting and attacking with melee attacks. And the College of Valor is kind of in the middle. It does have melee attacks. It gets shield proficiencies. But I feel like as a whole, the College of Swords is extremely fun. I'm going to put it up in the S tier because you get flourishes. Now, if you go with 10 levels of Bard and then 2 levels of Paladin, you can smite on your flourishes, which is huge, making it a really offensive class. I think my favorite build is actually going with the 10 levels of Bard, 2 levels of Paladin, taking the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel so that you can cast enchantment and illusion spells as bonus actions, so you can attack twice, technically 4 times if you do a slashing flourish with a bow, and then you can also cast crowd control. This is one of the most powerful, but also one of the most fun builds in the game. The College of Lore is still pretty fun. I would put it probably in the A tier. It doesn't get the 2 attacks that the Valor and the Swords Bard do at level 6, but it gets the magic secrets at level 6. So what this means is they get the choice of things like Hunger of Hadar and Spirit Guardians at level 6, which is, as you know if you played a cleric, quite a fun spell. But again, the dialogue options make these the most fun. I would probably have to put the College of Valor in a B tier just because the Sword Bard does everything the Valor Bard does, but better, I would say. Well, it's still not a bad class if you want to go that route for role-playing purposes. You're better off just going with the Swords Bard. So, again, this is fun, but also being offensively very strong is also quite fun in this game. So, I'm weighing that into my decisions. Next, we have the Cleric, and I think Clerics are actually quite fun classes. Some people don't like them because Trickery Domain is giving a bad taste for most people, with Shadowheart being that. But the most fun class in this would be probably, I'm going to put the Tempest Domain up in the S tier. You get a reaction at level 1 that does lightning damage or thunder damage to the target, but the best part about this build is at level 2, you get your Channel Divinity, allowing you, when you do lightning or thunder damage, to do the maximum amount of damage. What does this mean? So if you get 11 levels of Tempest Domain and take 1 level of Wizard, you can learn Chain Lightning. This does 80 damage at minimum, or at maximum. But if you create Water, that doubles the damage, so that becomes 160, and you can guarantee it does 160 damage. So if you like big numbers, the Tempest Domain is your go-to. I would say this is the best domain of clerics in Baldur's Gate 3. The Light Domain is also quite fun. I'm going to put it up in the S tier as well, because the Light Domain, you get a lot of awesome options. So it gives medium armor proficiencies, but with the Light Domain Cleric, you also get the Warding Flare here. So this is a nice little benefit that... shield yourself with Divine Light, use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attacker, possibly causing their target to miss. So, that is nice. And it can also be extended to your team at level 6. So, pretty fun. You also get a lot of fire spells. You get Fireball. There's something fun about playing a light domain cleric, running around with spirit guardians up, dropping fireballs on everyone. It's a pretty fun class. I wouldn't say as fun as Tempest, but the Tempest also gets heavy armor, and that reaction is really nice. But those are probably the two most fun subclasses of cleric. The war domain also gets a mention because it gives you bonus action attacks. So if you're looking for just a single level dip, this can give any class heavy armor and 3 bonus actions attacks. So if you get a class that already has 2 attacks, you get a third one. It's pretty nice. I would put the war domain cleric in the A tier, so somewhere around there. And then another thing is there's other domains like the life domain, which is a healer mostly. So with the life domain, you get yourself the ability to regain health points equal to 2 plus the spell's level, so you can heal yourself a little bit. I would say that the life domain is a great class for most people to start off in Baldur's Gate 3, but by no means is it the most fun class. So I would say that it's probably, it could go maybe A tier to B tier. I'm just gonna put it into the B tier because I'm trying to keep this list balanced, mind you guys. So some of these classes do have to go into the lower tiers just because I've heard people dislike them, or I've tried them and I don't find them to be as fun as other classes. The nature domain's probably also somewhere in the B tier. The nice thing about the nature domain is early game, the nature domain cleric is probably like one of the strongest because you get Shillelagh or Shillelagh, depending on how you pronounce it. And this gives you your spell casting modifier for attack roll. So this is actually probably the best early games class, but it falls off a little bit. And you also learn a druid cantrip to become proficient in animal handling, nature, or survival. So kind of a nice little bonus early game. They also have heavy armor, so that's, 2 thumbs up from me. But compared to the other subclasses in the game, I think that the trickery domain's probably, I might just put it in the D tier just because it doesn't feel like it does anything special. Like, you get Blessing the Trickster advantage on stealth checks. You're better off like multi-classing with Rogue. And the knowledge domain I might probably put in C tier. You get, what's nice with the knowledge domain clerics, you get, I guess, command and sleep for free, but you can get proficiency in a skill of your choice. So it does have some nice outside of combat choices that you can go with. But I just think Tempest and Light, so much better, funner, stronger. So this is about the most fun in Baldur's Gate 3, so yeah, we'll go with that. Now we got the Druid. The Druid's a fun one. I like the Druid, but I see a lot of Druid hate in my comments. There's some people that love Druid. I'm someone that I like the Druid. I'm not like a fanatic about the Druid, but I think that the Circle of Spores is one of the most fun classes in the game because you get all the benefits of like having summons. So it's basically a necromancer, like the necromancer wizard, but I'm going to put this one up in the S tier because you get the fungal zombies, which are pretty fun. You also get to go into your symbiotic entity form and your eyes will glow green. You get a little bit extra necrotic damage. It actually kind of pairs well with other subclasses too, so Circle of Spores is a pretty fun one. You can also wild shape if you want to, but it's better off using those wild shape charges for your symbiotic entity form and just casting your different spells. What makes this one so great though is in Act 3 you get the Armor of the Spore Keeper, which gives you haste spores. This is where it gets borderline broken. The haste spores you can drop down by your team, and then anyone that walks in it gets an extra action. So for a fighter that means 3 attacks plus 3 attacks, and then action surge 9 attacks. With a single level dip of the War Domain, you can have your fighter do 10 attacks with the Circle of Spores. Although anyone that's a caster can really get haste some way or another, I think that the Circle of Spores, being able to provide it to the entire team, is more busted than that. So you can also get your summons to run through the Circle of Spores and get an extra action as well. So it gets really strong. Next, I would say the Circle of the Moon is also pretty fun. I'm going to put it roughly around there. Now, what makes this so great is you can get the Myrmidon forms at level 10. You got to take a level of fighter to be able to get, or war cleric, to be able to get the weapon proficiencies for them. But if you turn into an air Myrmidon, you can stun 3 enemies per turn. And stunning just basically makes them useless for the turn. So some people don't really like transforming into the Myrmidons. They'd rather transform into an animal, but give it a shot. The Myrmidon forms are really good. The fire one also can haste itself, but I really like the air Myrmidon because it can stun people with the electrified flail. Don't use their normal attacks when you go into the Myrmidon form because they all get a special attack that can be used 3 times per turn. Really, really great. Next, I would say the Circle of the Land is probably a B tier option. I still think the Circle of the Land is a great class, don't get me wrong, but I just think the Circle of Spores and Circle of the Moon have a lot more fun in the game. The Circle of Land is a caster, so they can get awesome things. They can get Cone of Cold, they can get Call Lightning, but they also get Wild Shape too, so they're pretty tanky. Although the Circle of the Moon is probably the most powerful tank in this game, because you can transform into your owlbear form 3 times and get a ton of temporary health. So yeah, I'm going to put that in the A tier. And Circle Land in B tier. But next we got the Fighter. So there's 3 subclasses: the Battlemaster, the Eldritch Knight, and the Champion. 2 of these I think are S tier choices, whereas one of them just feels like it's a little bit lackluster in comparison. I would say the Battlemaster is definitely S tier. I'm going to put this right up around here. It's hard to rank these it's just S tier. The Battlemaster gets really nice options, so whenever you choose the Battlemaster Fighter, I guess I can't show it off there, but you get a bunch of different crowd control, like Menacing Attack, Trip Attack, and you also get Riposte, which gives you a reaction that'll deal weapon damage plus 1d8 equal, or eventually 1d10 of damage. So you get a reaction, you get crowd control. The Battlemaster is great for someone that's not like super like knowledgeable on the game, because you can just do Menacing Attack and Trip Attack. Trip Attack will set up prone for people to get advantage on attack rolls. So it has some crowd control. It's straight up just bonk, deal damage, and get out of there. The Eldritch Knight as well, I would say, is another S tier choice, because with the Eldritch Knight, you get your bound weapon. So this is one of the best throwing builds in the game, because you get the ability to throw 3 times per turn. What's nice about that is anything you throw returns to your hand. You can throw it again, throw it again. So things like Nirolna, it's perfect on here. Or even like the, if you go with like the Lightning Jabber, which is a thrown weapon that gives you additional lightning damage, it gets pretty good. The Eldritch Knight is a lot of fun. You also get access to spells, so you can get Shield, which will increase armor class by 5. There's lots of different options on the Eldritch Knight that just make it a lot of fun. And you can even go into the Eldritch Strike, which you get the extra... You get disadvantage on your spell rolls, so that can be good if you want to drop a hold person on someone. So yeah, both of these S tier. The Champion. I know there's some people that love crit fishing builds, so I don't want to dunk on it too hard. I'm just going to put it down in the C tier because it does get 2 fighting styles. That's one thing that not a lot of people talk about with the Champion, so it does have some extra benefits there, but I find the Battlemaster and the Eldritch Knight are just far above more fun than the Champion, so it kind of ranks this one a little bit lower. If these weren't as fun, it would probably be a bit higher, but yeah, I don't see too many people being super fanatic about the Champion Fighter. If you are, let me know in the comments what your favorite thing about the Champion Fighter is, because I've tried it many times, even on crit fishing builds. It's fun, but I feel like the Battlemaster just does things better, so yeah. Next, we got the Monks. Now, Monks are actually, I would say, really fun, because you get the Flurry of Blows bonus action, so with this, you can punch twice. Now, if you have anything that adds damage to your attacks, you add it twice. So in Act 3, you get a glove that adds 1d10 of force damage. So it's basically 2d10. You get double it, so potential of 20 extra damage. Also, you can add your Wisdom modifier to the damage of your attack rolls. There's a lot of benefits to the Monk. They can move around more than other classes. They are similar to the Barbarian in the fact that you're going to wear clothing like this. So, yeah, they don't get the effects of armor. And especially if you wear armor, you lose your movement speed bonuses. So, with this, you're mostly going unarmed or using Coralon's Grace in Act 1 as a nice quarterstaff that gives you a bonus to your attack rolls with fist attacks. The Way of the 4 Elements is pretty fun. However, don't get me wrong, I like the Way of the 4 Elements Monk, but it burns through key points unlike any other build burns through their resource. So I like it. I want to put it A tier, but I am just going to put the Way of the 4 Elements into the B tier. The Way of the Shadow isn't as strong as the Open Hand, but I'm going to put it into the A tier. Again, don't get me wrong. I love Way of the 4 Elements. It's a fun class. Fang of the Fire Snake is a really fun attack that you can set up fire damage with, but it is a little bit weaker, and it burns through its resource. It burns through its resource way faster than any other build on here. However, Way of the Open Hand, I would say that this is one of the most fun classes in the game, especially if you go 9 levels of this and 3 levels of Rogue Thief. That's one of the meta builds in this game. You can attack. You get 3 bonus actions eventually, and you can do bonus action attacks that one-shot people. Like, you can deal 100+ damage with your bonus action. That's crazy. No other class can deal 100 damage with a bonus action, but the Way of the Open Hand can. So that's obviously pretty fun. Also, what's cool about it is you can use an action to jump around as much as you want. So you can jump, 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 punch, jump, punch. Like, this is a really... The attack animations for the punching attacks are also really great. So I would have to say Way of the Open Hand is definitely an S tier choice. It's got many options for damage. You can stun people. You can do your stunning strike, so you can stun targets. Not as much as the Circle of the Moon Druid can stun, but still, it does a really great job of dealing a massive amount of damage and also having a bit of crowd control with knocking people prone or stunning them. So, S tier. Next, we got the 4 Paladins. So, Oath of Ancients, Devotion, Vengeance, and the Oathbreaker. Oath of Vengeance is probably the most fun because you get Misty Step at level 5 and you get Hold Person. So 2 spells that make this very powerful, because if you get Hold Person off on someone, you get a critical hit on your next attack against them, which your smites will do insane amounts of damage. If you like big numbers, the Oath of Vengeance is the way to go. All Paladins are amazing. Let's just clear the air here. All Paladins are great. The Vengeance just stands above the rest. The Oathbreaker, I don't want to put them all in the S tier. Like, the Battlemaster and the Eldritch Knight are different enough, yet still very powerful to put up there. So I'm going to put the Oathbreaker, probably put the Oathbreaker somewhere around here. And then the Oath of the Ancients and Oath of Devotion. I think the Oath of Ancients is a good healer. It's a good class. It's a very powerful class, but I just think that the other ones are a bit more fun. And then I'll put the Oath of Devotion down in C tier. So, just to keep things balanced, guys, I'm not hating on the Paladin. I love the Paladin. It was the first class I've ever played. Anytime I put these not out of S tier, people get upset, but they're still great classes. Just the Vengeance Paladin, being able to burst down people and teleport to them and then hold person, yeet them with their smites, very strong. And the Oathbreaker, a unique subclass. So, yeah, I would put those both up there. They're all, in terms of strength, they're S tier, but yeah. Now we got the Rangers. Now, these are interesting because the Ranger is... The Beastmaster and the Hunter, you have to take to level 11 in order for it to get the most out of the class. That's kind of stinky. The Gloomstalker, however, can be added to pretty much any class in this game, and it'll be a net positive. So with the Gloomstalker, you get an extra attack on the first round of combat that deals in an extra 1d8 of damage. So that's nice. You get an extra attack on top of everything else. You also get the ability to... like, use stealth a bit more. You get a +3 to your initiative. You get that extra attack. The Gloomstalker is really great. I'm going to put it up into the A tier. The Beastmaster's nice, especially if you like to have summons that are animals. Like, that's be the main draw for running the Beastmaster. So I will just put it in the B tier because, I mean, B for Beast. But it's fun. But if you don't really like having animal summons around, it's weaker than the other subclasses of Hunter or Ranger. And the Hunter is also pretty good too. I'll probably put it like somewhere around there. Like, the Hunter is a fun class. But it really relies on its level 11 perk with Volley, where it does a big amount of damage. But again, you have to take it up to level 11, whereas the Gloomstalker, it's front loaded all the way at level 5. You get a lot of the benefits. So I like the Ranger a lot, but it's hard to say, like, if you like running around with animals, then the Beastmaster's great. But yeah. That's what I think of the Ranger. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But next we got the Arcane Trickster. All the rogues are interesting because the rogue, I think, got done dirty in Baldur's Gate 3, kind of, because it's just not as strong as it is in tabletop. Arcane Trickster is D tier. It's the worst subclass in the game. If you take this and take it to level 12, you're just going to have a hard time with the game compared to other subclasses. You still can beat the game with it, don't get me wrong, but just not that strong. The Thief is fun because you get that level. I'm going to put the Thief probably in A tier because the extra bonus action is really great on a lot of builds. It's great on a Berserker Barbarian because you can throw more. It's great on a Way of the Open Hand because you can do an extra flurry of blows. But the Rogue itself, it's sneak attack dependent, which is okay. It's good, but it's just lacking in damage. They don't get an extra attack. The Assassin's pretty good too, but it's more so tailored to certain builds. So I think the Thief's better. Just bonus action means you get a lot more freedom in combat. You're never going to take these classes all the way up to level 12. They're mostly just a dip. The Assassin works well with the Gloomstalker Ranger too, because you get that extra bonus to the first round of combat. You also get critical hits on people that didn't make an action yet. And with the Assassin, you also get the ability to get your action and bonus action back if you started combat. So if you went in and attacked someone to start combat, most classes lose their action. The Assassin does not. So yeah, I'd put it in the B tier. Now we're getting into some of my favorite classes. I love the Sorcerer. It's my favorite class in Baldur's Gate 3. It's super powerful and it's fun. It's hard to rank these. I think they're all great. Draconic Bloodline. You get mage armor for free at all times. So if you're wearing the Wave Mother's robe like you see here, you're going to be protected with a 13 armor class base plus your dexterity modifier plus the armor class from your armor. Draconic gets extra damage. Now, there's some cool ways. So you can go with like a cold Draconic Sorcerer. I guess I'll pull up the Sorcerer here because you can see there's subclasses here. So with this, you get Draconic Resilience, put your armor class at 13. You get an additional 1 health for each Sorcerer level. But you also, whenever it says here, influence later features, so whatever damage type you choose, if you choose Fire, you're going to deal extra fire damage at level 6. Equal to your Charisma modifier, which you can get up to like a plus, you can get it up to +7. So yeah, you can get a +5 with 20. You can get up to 24 for +7. So +7 to your damage. What's nice is it actually adds it to all Scorching Ray blasts. So if you do Scorching Ray, it gets pretty gnarly. I'm more of a fan of using Cone of Cold or Chain Lightning, so I like to go with like the Lightning or Cold ancestry. But they're both really strong. I would say S tier. Very fun build, definitely. My favorite is probably the Draconic Sorcerer, but the Storm Sorcerer also gets some notice here because whenever you do a level 1 spell, you can fly as a bonus action, and people can't hit you with opportunity attacks, so great for survivability. You also get Call Lightning. You also get extra lightning damage. You also get a pushback on your lightning damage. Storm Sorcery is also S tier. It's really fun. The Wild Magic. This is a fun one too. Like I put the Wild Magic Barbarian up in the S tier. I'm gonna have to put the Wild Magic Sorcerer up there too, right beside the Wild Magic Barbarian. So I think they're both extremely fun. The Wild Magic Sorcerer also gets the Ties of Chaos. Activate to gain advantage on your next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, and then it gives you an increased chance of the magic surge happening. And the Wild Magic, sometimes it helps you, most times it screws you over. It's fun. I think Wild Magic Barbarians and Sorcerers are a ton of fun, just for the randomness. Wouldn't recommend it on your first playthrough, but on subsequent playthroughs, they're a ton of fun. Next, we're getting into the Warlock. Now, the Warlock does also have its subclasses at low levels. The Fiend is pretty good. I think the Fiend's great because it gives you the access to Fireball and Wall of Fire. The other two don't get that. The Great Old One's pretty popular too because the Great Old One, whenever you hit a critical hit, all targets must make a Wisdom saving throw or become frightened until the end of their next turn. I just want to make a note. It's not in a huge area. It's kind of a small area, so it doesn't happen as much as you'd like it to happen. You also get Dissonant Whispers, which is kind of a nice cantrip to have, but I would say the Fiend also gets temporary health whenever you take out a creature, and the Archfey gets the Fey Present Charm or frighten nearby foes with the Fey's beguiling disturbing magics. So, I mean, the Warlock's fun. You get your spell slots back at short rest. I'm gonna put the Fiend probably A tier. Great Old One's probably A tier. I'm just gonna put it into the B tier though, just to keep things balanced a bit, and then the Archfey in the C tier. The Archfey just a little bit weaker than the other two. What's nice about the Warlock though, it's a great multi-class. The Pact of the Blade is kind of like what I would consider the best of it because at level 5 you get an extra attack. If you're playing on modes that aren't honor mode, so let's say you took a Paladin up to level 5 and then you take a Warlock up to level 5, you can do 3 attacks at level 10, which is before a fighter gets 3 attacks. So very powerful synergy there. Warlocks are great. They're just not as, I would say, fun as some of the other classes that can hit huge numbers because they'll only get level 5 spells. They get 3 spells per short rest. So you have to plan it very strategically, and I just feel like they're a better subclass dip than going all the way up to level 12. Finally, we're ending off with the Wizards. Now, the Wizards are interesting because I guess I can pull them up here. So we'll go with, I'll just take a level of Wizard here, and then I'll show you all the subclasses because the Wizard does require you to go to level 2 to show off these subclasses. So we got 8 different choices here. I guess I'll start with Abjuration. So each of them, whatever school you pick, you learn those spells for cheaper. Abjuration. Residual magic from your spells form a ward around you that protects you from harm. Abjuration is probably the most fun because you can be very defensive, although the build does take a little bit of setting up to do. Abjuration is probably an S tier. it's a fun class. It's very powerful, and I guess I can show off the full list there, but what makes it so strong is the fact that you get that arcane ward to protect you from taking damage. So that is the big benefit of that. Evocation's also great. You get sculpting spells, so you can avoid hitting your teammates with spells. Allies automatically succeed saving throws against spells and take no damage from them. So this is a good one for first-time players, too, because you're dropping fireballs and you don't want to hurt your team. This will keep them safe. I would probably say Evocation is A tier. Necromancy, as well, is a class that I really like. If you get the Staff of Cherished Necromancy in Act 3, you can... So basically, you can heal for 3 times the spell's level slot if it's a Necromancy spell, or level 2 times if it's a normal spell. So if you took someone out with Chain Lightning, you get 12 health back. If you take someone out with Circle of Death, you get 18 health back. Where this gets crazy is, as I mentioned, Staff of Cherished Necromancy allows you to cast level 6 Necromancy spells continually if you take out targets with them. So you can go boom, 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 continually hit them with the Circle of Death, heal for 18 every time. And a big benefit, Circle of Death doesn't hurt your undead summons. The Necromancer also gets 2 summons per spell, so it's a little bit more synergetic. I would say that this one is another S tier choice, so I'll put it up here. Just because Necromancer is it's a fun class. You get the ability to summon a lot and do Circle of Death spam, which I think is pretty fun too. Conjuration. So this gives us Create Water, which I think it's a good spell. If you're looking to add in, like, if you went with a class that's doing lightning or cold damage and you want a little bit of extra oomph, take this. It gives you Create Water, which is very useful because that doubles the damage of lightning and cold spells. The Conjuration is pretty good, but I feel like the other schools of wizards are a little bit better, so I'll put it into the B tier. Enchantment. So the enchantment gets the Hypnotic Gaze. Charm an incapacitated creature, cannot attack you, cannot act. So basically just charms a creature, but also kind of holds him in place. Enchantment's alright, but I just feel like the other ones are a bit more fun, so I'll put it into C tier. Divination. This is a fun class because you choose dice rolls. So basically... you get to look into a glimpse of the future. After each long rest, you get 2 portent dice. Each day, you can change the roll of any attack roll or saving throw near you to one of your portent dice. So, you get to choose if you land your attacks or not. This can be really good on honor mode. Probably say A tier. I know a lot of people have a lot of fun with this, so I will put it up high. And Illusion. This gives you improved minor illusion, which you can use as a bonus action. That's not really amazing. The Illusion Wizard just kind of stinks in comparison to the other wizard forms because it's cool. It just doesn't have that much benefit compared to the other ones that have a lot more benefit. Being able to cast it as a bonus action is just alright. And then finally we got Transmutation. This is basically the class that you'd have at your camp, just not leaving and creating potions for you. Because whenever you whenever you make a potion, you get 2 instead of 1. If you succeed a DC 15 medicine check. I'm going to put it in D tier because it's mostly just meant to stay at camp, but the wizard, it has a wide variety. So here's the full tier list. The wizard having some like Abjuration and Necromancy, which are a whole lot of fun, and Divination, Evocation, which are great. Conjuration's alright. But there it is. The most fun subclasses in Baldur's Gate 3. College of Swords Bards. Enough said. That class is fun. Being able to spellcast on a bonus action, as well as attack twice, or even 4 times with a Slashing Flourish, is massive. Draconic Sorcerer. Fly around. At level 10, you can fly using just your movement speed. So if you don't have the Illithid ability, you got the ability to fly. Tempest Domain. Max damage rolls. That's huge. Way of the Open Hand. Bonus actions dealing 100 damage. Amazing. Storm Sorcery, same thing. The sorcerers are all really fun. Necromancer and Abjuration, as I said. Vengeance, being able to teleport and hold person. Wild Magic, Barbarian, and Sorcerer, just for the randomness that ensues. Lake Domain for running around with Spirit Guardians, dropping fireballs. And then the 2 fun wizard class, or 2 fun fighter classes with Battlemaster and Eldritch Knight. And then Circle of Spores for kind of some shenanigans with your Necromancy. So actually level 6 Circle of Spores pairs really well with the level 6 Necromancy Wizard. Really, really great pairing. But there's the most fun subclasses in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.